Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our doubleheader here for Faceit League, and of course, going to be starting things out here in the South America region. Of course, myself, Huntertain, joined every single time by Dexatron. And Dex, this is, oddly enough, I wouldn't have got into this thinking this would be one of the most anticipated matchups of South America, but it turns to be, because this is what we have now affectionately been seen labeled as the cutlery battle of South America. It is Garfo versus Faca, or more so I should say, a fork versus knife.
Yeah, and that we did look it up. That is, or please let us know if that is actually how you pronounce it. We both thought last week it was Faca. No, it is actually Faca. But right now, I mean, both these two teams off to a really good start here. Granted, only played 2-3 games each. I believe Garfo comes in this one 2-1 with a huge victory last week against Factor X, a team that me and you already saw once this season and kind of thought would go through this regular season and do really, really well. Taking the loss to Garfo was a big surprise, but that might just tell us how good this Garfo team is. Faca, on the other hand, 1-1, looking to get up to 2-1 here with a victory here tonight. But like you said, it is the battle of fork and knife here. It should be a really, really fun one here tonight.
Yeah, no, exactly. These teams are obviously very familiar with each other as it is, and it seems there's very good blood between them as well. It's a very fun situation, but obviously both teams still want to come out with the win in the situation right here, as the chat is already being spammed with hashtag GoGarfo, hashtag GoFaca. I'm loving it right out the gate.
Please let us know if we're saying that correctly.
Yeah, there's a slight chance we're wrong, but to be fair, if we're wrong, it's because Google's wrong. And if Google's wrong, then I don't know what can save us beyond that point. But that's information we'll figure out a different day. But information we're going to figure out pretty shortly is our first map, which, again, I got to keep saying it, Faca is going to be picking the first map to get us started.
Yeah, and again, you know what the maps are: Busan, Ilios, and Oasis. It seems like a lot of teams, at least here in the South America region, have been gravitating towards Oasis. We did see Ilios, I believe, once. It wasn't in South America; it was back in NA. Yeah. But I mean, Busan's still there, a really good map. But I feel like Oasis right now is where you're seeing a lot of teams go, and that doesn't necessarily surprise me. But Hunter, I think the biggest thing that we really have to talk about going into this game here is the fact that Season 18 just dropped yesterday. A lot of new stuff got implemented. You have a new hero. Wu Yang is now playable. Wrecking Ball just got reintroduced to play again, so I don't know if Faceit's going to have that hero back just yet. And a bevy of perks, at least every hero getting at least one new perk. It's going to be really interesting to see how that changes up the meta here. But I think this first week, at least maybe up until Friday, we're still going to see a lot of teams playing what we were seeing the previous weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we 100% should, because even though there are a lot of these changes, you have Wu Yang coming into the picture, teams have a very limited time to prepare, literally 24 hours to realistically prepare. It's like you could have the information from, you know, when we had the playtest of Wu Yang. You can see the screenshots before of what some of the new perks were. That doesn't necessarily mean they can translate over in 24 hours, but we are going to see teams during this week try these things and attempt them, and we're going to see teams that do it really well, some teams that don't quite do it as well, and it's going to be a learning process. It's more, I would say it's less impactful on things like NA, EMEA, where there's a lot more games to play. Losing or winning a game here in South America, however, is a lot more impactful.
Yeah, especially for both these teams right here. I mean, you have to argue that one of these teams could find themselves in the playoffs, or with good results, both of them could, which I think would be a really good thing. It seems like these are two of the most popular teams, at least in the Brazil region, as already a lot of people were really excited for this game here tonight. But we do know what our first map is and our first ban is. Going to be heading to Busan, and it looks like Faca has decided to ban out Hazard. And Hunter, that's been a normal ban, it seems like, map one a lot of the times here in South America, especially if it's Busan.
Yeah, it kind of has been the case, and to be fair, Hazard is still a really good tank overall. There's nothing wrong with a ban like this, especially of just something going out the gate, realizing, hey, what is just something we don't want to run into that's kind of a safe pick. We saw that a lot last season with heroes like Juno, where they got banned pretty early on in a lot of different situations because it was controlled. Juno had a lot of power. Juno, while still strong, doesn't get played nearly as much anymore, at least from what I've noticed in a majority of these games. But as we're waiting right now, we're just hoping to get everything figured out, as we do know our second ban into this first map, and it's going to be Soju.
Not I actually think this is a really good ban. I feel like Sojourn falls into one of those heroes that you ban out early. It's a pretty safe ban because you probably have someone on your team and the other team who plays Soj pretty well, and you're trying to bank on the fact that maybe that they're not as good with, say, a Cassidy or an Ashe or something else you could see come up here with that hit scan roll. Maybe even a Soldier, which would be really, really interesting to see. But Hazard being banned out first, I mean, again, like I said, a really safe ban. They did just fix the bug where infinite shield or infinite block was a thing, so that should be fine from here on out. But I mean, Sojourn, like we kind of said, a very safe ban. I feel like, again, you want to play maybe a little bit slower with Sojourn. You're always kind of like want to push the tempo, push the pace just a little bit more, especially sliding in and hitting a headshot with that railgun.
Yeah, 100% can have a lot of impact, and we'll obviously not be able to see in this first map what the kind of impact can be, but now we'll see teams adjust around that. But we have gotten so far into the hero ban system, it feels like teams have gotten very adjusted to how things are, to the point where a lot of teams, they will, scrim certain maps not using specific characters in anticipation for them being banned, because you can go ahead and you can practice your same comp over and over and over and perfect it. It's a different story when one of the main proponents of that comp gets canceled out, and then there's a scrambling factor. I think we are beyond that point, though, for the most part, especially a team like Garfo, which, to be fair, despite not making it to the playoffs last season, I think still had a very impressive goes about it. Especially, I believe it was them that got that upset win over, I believe it was,
Pumas.
Over Pumas to knock them out of the playoffs, essentially.
Yeah, we talked about going into that week. We thought that Pumas was probably going to, go through with Garfo, win that one, and locking themselves into the playoff spot. But because of that surprise upset right there, I mean, you had leaders come in, or Zocorp Esports come in, find themselves in that playoffs of that 4th spot, run the table, and make it all the way to EWC. But right now, we're gonna be heading to downtown here to get everything started. And Hunter, this might be the most dive-heavy map, in my opinion. High grounds are very prevalent all around the point and all around the map in general. Normally, you can see something like a Widow come out here if the team really wants to try that. However, if no one's gonna test him, it's not a bad option. But coming out of the gate right now, you do see dive tanks showing up for both sides. However, it is going to be a Winston for, I believe that is the side of Garfo, and D.Va for the side of Faca here. And look, there you see Talk go over, tease the Widow, but Sim out here. I think this is actually a really good map for Sim just in general, because you normally expect teams to run dive tanks. And the 2 dive tanks you see here, Sim, well, people will argue.
That's new. Yeah. Quick little bits of information, ladies and gentlemen. Faca instantly correct. Thank you all for making sure we were correct about that. Secondly, you will see an icon on the right side of your screen, which apparently was new with the patch. So, either way, little bits of information as First Sight going to get started away, and Rido going to get forced out extremely quickly. And in fact, Blanks is going to get rid of them immediately, and that is going to be a very fast-paced fight to get us started here, as all the rest you can really do here is kind of hang around and try to get out.
Ligtat's going to recall there and be able to get out freely, but looks like Talk wants to try to chase them down. They're going to be able to get the health back and get back with their team, and immediately you see Rido just swap off the Winston, going over to the Orisa instead. They really recognize into this D.Va comp that the Winston was not going to work out. They need to play something that had a little bit more sustainability, and that's exactly what they did here.
Yeah, 100%. Ligtat getting a pick right off the gate, but we have begun to trade out around the course, but Cassidy hanging around to the point. Rido needs a little bit of care. Is getting extremely low, super low, as a matter of fact. Eventually, gonna get care from their Ana as soon as the first flip come through.
And Blank's going to be staying with that D.Va. I actually like this pick here for them. Even going up into this Orisa, I feel like just being able to move around the map a little bit faster is going to be something that really helps out Faca here at the moment. So you're really just looking right here for any kind of entry here for Faca. And right now, it's actually going to be Blank just going straight to point. I like this, especially as everyone for Garfo is far away from it.
Ooh, yeah, and you just need the assassination in the backline. Tucker, unfortunately, not able to do anything as Ligtat and co. ready to get back into the fight. Caught off guard is Cyber. A nice stick as well. Ligtat helping clear away the competition. 3K to clear things away. 33% and counting on the board.
And right now, if you're Faca, you really have to figure out what you need to change here, because you're just starting to kind of get beat down. You got that first good team fight win by getting rid of Rido pretty early on, but you need to find something else here now. Rido's not going to be someone you can easily get rid of here, especially being that Orisa. You have to be looking at Ligtat, you have to be looking at Senses, you have to be looking at Dystopia, who honestly are playing really far in that backline.
Yeah, and we see Rido pushing forward off the top of that Nano, taking some space, gonna knock Blanks out of the mech as well, which means now in a situation, if you're Faca, you can't really do a whole lot without your Diva and Mech.
Yeah, right now, I mean, you're just trying to do whatever you can, get back in that mech. You will lose Cyber. You're going to give up the bomb, and you're going to give up just Diva in general here. I like this. It really does put you into like final fight territory, but look at the ultimates you have here. You're about to have 4, so it shouldn't be final fight considering you have these 4 ultimates, but you just have to make sure you live through the Deadeye and the Terror Surge that Garfo currently has. You're going to probably want to try to rotate to the backside of point and then play from there, and you already see Talker over there trying to lead their team that way.
100%. Dystopia hanging up on the high ground, wanting to keep complete control, especially with the Deadeye around the corner. Rally by Vanguard being used as Cyber is also going through with the Deadeye. Gets slept out of it, though. Unfortunate scenario. Now Dystopia still holding onto a Deadeye. Is going to cause some separation there between a rock and a hard place right now, but everybody's still alive.
Everyone's still alive, but more importantly, Faca got the point flip here, but you're going to lose Cyber. You need to be able to keep everyone else alive. You might have to use that pulse bomb here, but it might be a little bit too late.
Yeah, it's not going to do enough damage. You can try to still get the stick, but right now, Tucker might be more concerned about staying alive as it's thrown out, does not hit, and that's going to be curtains for this first round to see if you can get out of touch. It's not going to happen. First round thoroughly secured by Garfo, and while it was a rough first fight or two, they made it happen once they locked it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a really rough first fight for Garfo. Remember, they basically got kind of rolled over pretty quickly, but it all came back to Rido just going right back up to this Orisa. I think that Winston could have potentially worked out, but you need a little bit more communication. And honestly, once that bubble kind of goes away, if you lose the jump, you're kind of a sitting duck, or I mean, a giant sitting gorilla. But right here, I mean, you already see some swaps potentially coming out here. Dystopia going over to the soldier. I mean, Hunter, this is something that I said we could potentially see coming out here. I didn't really expect it, but hey, we might see it here now. Blanks, though. The Junk Queen? I was going to be really happy for the Junk Queen. But hey, you talked about Juno being a hero that we saw a lot and now kind of fade away. Vagrant going over to the Juno right here now for Faca. Let's see if it helps him out here a little bit.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, again, we talked about Juno not necessarily being used by a lot of people anymore. Still an effective hero, but we'll have to see what the case is. That's instantly hit by the Anti. As you can see, immediately it's Garfo looking to play out into the open. Faca going to have to kind of take their time going around and setting back up on the side. And, I mean, for Garfo, this is what you want them to do right here. Take their sweet time. Oh.
Yeah, but, I mean, here's the thing. They completely rotated around the point, but instead of trying to cap the point, Garfo was off it. They could have capped it up here and been, you know, building up percentage. I think they're going to end up losing this fight, but Blank's very low. And they might not lose this fight anymore.
Yeah, just still had all the care in the world sitting by from Ende, who's just kind of holding down that front, and unfortunately was untouched as Talker being taken care of. Sense is going to get the final blow as, again, they're going to get the point, but they're going to move ahead to get a couple more picks before finally capping.
I mean, yeah, you want to confirm the kill, you want to win the team, but you could cap that point a little bit earlier, though. But no big deal. I mean, about 1-2%. But, I mean, it was a really good start there for Faca. I just think it kind of broke down a little bit with Blanks going straight to point all by themselves, just not having that support there to really keep them alive. Now, though, you look at Ultimates, Ligtad not that far away from a Pulse Bomb, while Endai not that far away from a Nano. I mean, that could be a really, really fun thing to see here, especially throwing to someone like Blanks or potentially like Cyber, who can just do an immense amount of damage as the Electric Cowboy.
100%. You already see some assassination attempts going on the backline. Like Tet gonna have to be forced to hit the recall. Pulse bomb right around the corner. Importantly, though, Endai about to have a Nano waiting for the right moment. Big sleep. Could see the Nano be used if they end up getting stuck, but instead, you see the trade-outs coming through. Lift type being taken care of, but now careful on the other side of things. Being taken care of, and now in the 4v4, you're likely looking at a Nano fight as Arlodomi thrown in. People trying to escape. Cyber not so lucky. As unfortunately, Blank's going to be deleted as well, and it's a good attempt, unfortunately. Oh, man.
Talker's doing very good in this fight. I believe they found 2-3 picks. You're starting to see some of those members that they found fall back into the fight. Endai gonna fall Vagrant on their way back in, gonna immediately be sent back to spawn, and Talker gonna be the only one that might live to tell here unless Ligtad wants to chase him down, but it looks like they're not gonna be able to here, as Blank's right there with Cyber shutting down Ligtad here. If you could get to this point fast, that would be what you would want to do here if you're Faca, but you have both your supports coming out of spawn as we speak, so they're not going to be able to play fast here. This will be final fight. You have Deadeye. You have Deadeye gets speared.
Rido does use the spear, though, and just has no self-defense left. Nice sleep across the map right there. Dystopia taken out. And it looks like first fight win is going to be coming online. Cyber does get deleted, but still the numbers game not in form for Garfo.
I mean, right now, you want to try to find one more pick if you're Faca, just to make sure you can kind of keep this fight a little bit slower, let that one fallen teammate get back into the fray, because they're doing really good here. But right now, you look at it, 3 ultimates ready to go here for Garfo. Nano, Pulse Bomb. There's a Pulse Bomb out there on the blanks. Going to force force out a gold form right there.
Yeah, and you're wondering whether or not the beat is going to be used here. It is a 4v5 situation. Still has the thing sitting by. Recall going to be expended away as just waiting for their potential opportunity. It looks like they are just waiting by to get their fit back. And honestly, with the way things are, they have the opportunity to take a super aggressive beat, and they will. But they get slipped out of it! It doesn't go through!
No, it goes through.
It goes through? Oh my god.
It went on the Rido. It hit the sleep at the perfect time. Oh, wait, are you talking about beat?
I'm talking about beat, yeah. The beat.
Oh, yeah, no.
Beat got Ajax.
Ajax, yeah.
Yeah, beat Ajax. Certified Ajax moment as Estofia is still hanging around. And it's still just cutting through. There's only 2 members hanging around on the point. And at this point, it really is only Blanks to try to hold it down.
And Blanks for using the 4-5 right there to keep themselves alive, but they need some support. They're going to fall right there. And yeah, Talkard is there, but at this point, you might just have to give up the point here. If you are Faca, you have the members around to get a touch, but you really need Blanks to get back. A swap might be needed here. And yeah, there they are going over to the Doomfist, but someone needs to get a touch.
Yeah, and it's Anthony Talkard who gets a touch, barely touches in time. Looking for a pulse bomb potentially is Talkard right now, but looks to be able to get the assassination without the use of it. It's down to a 3v3. A stick is so necessary right now. It goes out, does not, well, it does partially connect as Rido is eventually taken care of. A 2v2 back into form. It's Blanks making it back on the Doomfist. It's down to Talkard. Unfortunately, it's not happening. And it's gonna be Garfo taking it away for our first map, but Faca putting up a really good fight, especially on that second round.
Yeah, they really did. And remember, they came out of the gate kind of firing first. They rolled over Garfo in the first fight. They're on downtown, but after that, it was kind of rough back and forth for them. They got better as that second point went on. You were able to really see a lot of Faca's DPS line, most importantly, find a lot of value, whether it be Talkard, whether it be that Cassie. They were doing everything you wanted them to do there, but Garfo, just a strong start, made it very, very difficult for Faca to really do anything there. You could see it. Garfo was just holding on to their ultimates for the right time. We saw the beat get Ajax, and that is very, very unfortunate. I wish I had recognized that that's what you were talking about with the beat being Ajax and not the Nano. But I mean, just looking at the stats there, I mean, everyone on Garfo was pretty consistent across the board when it came to elims, deaths, and I mean, hell, even that support line got 27 assists throughout that first map. When you compare it to the assists that the support line for Faca got, only being 11, I mean, you can kind of tell the differences there. It seemed like Garfo was a little bit more secure in their compositions, especially when they got off that Winston.
I mean, yeah, 100%. You kind of saw the development as it went along throughout the series, and it felt like Garfo had this really effective way of kind of taking positioning where they necessarily have to play aggressive all the time. When they saw the opportunities, if somebody was caught out, they would then pounce on that. You saw a lot of times where, you know, you would have your Tracer or your Ana separated away, and unfortunately, if those two get caught out, despite Tracer have on the movement abilities, when that recall is gone, there's not a whole lot you can do to realistically save yourself, and we saw that on multiple occasions as now it's Faca who needs to come around, make this happen, and we know the second map is they're going to make another decision and take us to Runasapi, which is something we don't normally see, but we also did just see this in our last matchup last week.
Yeah, I mean, this is when we play push. This is kind of the map I always expect to see played. Yeah, you have Coliseo or Esperanza, but I feel like Runasapi is the one that everyone kind of gravitates towards here. But I'm more surprised at the first ban we're seeing here being Zarya, considering I believe we've only seen Zarya maybe once or twice so far between South America and North America. And the Zarya pick never necessarily stuck around longer than maybe 1 or 2 fights. Zarya and Brig gonna be our bans out here. Not a lot of Brig, neither of these two heroes are played in the first map. So it really feels like to me that the Zarya ban might potentially be something where one of the teams really wants to make sure that Orissa's not gonna be counted out or Diva is gonna be counted out here. And the Brig ban, I mean, I think this is a really good map for Brig. I think other people will argue that it's not, but I think this is a really great map for Brigitte.
You know, I would agree. I think we, in the past especially, we saw a lot of that Brig Juno here as well. You can run the Brigana here at the same time, and those two kind of act as a blanket towards each other on most maps. So this is just one of those characters that is extremely viable, and it's completely understandable that I think almost regardless of the map, is really a safe pick to take out in the situation right here. But we're just going to have to see what the situation is going to be, as we're going to be heading into our second map here. Again, heading over to Runasapi. And to be fair, some people don't like Runasapi. Me personally, casting it, I like it quite a lot. I gotta be honest.
I don't get why people don't like this map. I think it's a really good one. I wish I could speak Portuguese, because they are having a really fun conversation, it looks like, in chat, and I wish I could understand them. But it looks like we have at least one sub coming in here for the side of Faca. It looks like Marcel is coming in here for them, and
ooh. they're playing us. They're playing us. They gotta be playing us for fools on the
I was
left side.
Say rules on that Lucio there for Garfo is coming in here. But I mean, we're seeing that Jungle Queen, and we're seeing Malga come out here. And Hunter, normally when we see Malga, it's more of a last ditch ever kind of pick, but I feel like this could be a really good kind of composition here to catch Faca off guard.
Yeah, I think it really could be in a scenario like this. If you're not prepared for the Malga, it can be really hurtful. But this is also a comp where most everybody is able to get away on their own accord pretty effectively. The shout can be very effective as well. It's really hard for a lot of these characters to be caught out single-handedly. So Rido is going to struggle a little bit making it happen. But if you manage to slam down in the right place, it could be effective. You're going to see them bounce out and take their time, as eventually you're going to see the squad move forward. Garfo going to try to pound down, and Blanks, of all people, gets taken out, and that's going to make everything fall apart instantly.
I was going to say, Syra start off this fight with the first pick. And I was going to say, Syra basically picking off right where they left off from map 1. Yeah, their team ended up losing that, but I thought Syra really did come alive in that second point. But, I mean, again, Malga right here is very sustainable, and you throw in the Lucio, and most importantly, that Baptiste. Baptiste is just a lot of burst healing, and that pairs up very, very well with the Malga here. Same thing with Ligtan Dystopia. Remember, Soj was banned out map 1, so first time we're seeing Soj this series dueling Genjis. That's always a fun thing to see, just because of both these tanks can fire so many rounds at you. But I feel like Marcel should be the one that is really finding a lot of value with those deflects.
Yeah, I would think so as well in this scenario. Already is being given a ton of pressure, forced to recall on both sides, and eventually Litat is just going to swipe directly through, take care of business, as the rest of Faca is just going to have to try to back out, keep each other alive, as at this point, it looks like they'll just surrender the initial checkpoint.
They're going to have to here just back up and kind of play for the next fight here. Granted, a lot of their team is building up to Ultimate Cyber, not that far away from Deadeye. You're going to have Kitsune, you're going to have Beat. However, you look at the other side, Beat, Amp Matrix, and their own Overclock is going to be ready to go here pretty quickly for Garfo as they continue to push on here. But Hunter, this is always a map that me and you talk about. These early leads sometimes can disappear in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, Deadeye has been activated. Cyber wasn't able to hit a whole lot last time around, but this time around, going to get some effect in this, as Senses has already taken care of one, and it's Blanks of all people, and that means the rundown is coming through. Rido and co. Gonna go down hoping for a big-time stomp, and unfortunately, only one survivor at the moment, as Marcel looks like they should be able to live, but they're getting burnt away, and they'll die late.
Yeah, that's not what you're looking for here if you were Faca. And let's just remember this, Hunter. It was Cyber that started off this entire map with the kill there. That's the only kill that Faca's been able to find so far here. Almost 3 minutes in and 100 meters pushed on the barrier, and you're still walking into about 4 ultimates ready to go here for Garfo, and you're going to have 3 of your own. Blank should be able to build up to 1 eventually, but you're going to have to live to the cage. Yeah,
that's literally a double investment right there. Ligtat made it a 2 for 2 trade, essentially, so nobody gets anything, but still, trades coming through, but these trades are going to go the way of Faca in terms of effectiveness. But Beat is used here. They want to go all out to try to make this happen, as Blanks has a potential golden opportunity to use Assault if they desire, but Senses has already gotten rid of 2. Blanks, all they can do is hang around the car, hoping they can get away with taking somebody out, but unfortunately, nobody from Garfo is going down.
No, and Blanks not going to be able to get out here really will hurt Faca as they try to come back in here and stop this barrier from getting, or from Garfo completing the map here. Yeah, you're going to have the Rampage, you're going to have a Blade, but you look at the other side, that Overclock that Dystopia's been holding on to for a while, ready to go, and Senses not that far away from an Amp Matrix.
And this might be one of the most incredible comebacks at the starting right here, as Ligtat, Rido, everybody being deleted. I'll go back of one amazing all Blanks just running it down center, but now, I mean this would be the biggest comeback I've seen. 141 meters to nothing.
I mean, essentially, I think the map completes at like 130, 143, 145. So that was on your doorstep right here. However, now you're gonna have to deal with an damage that Sense is never able really to build up to. But you have both Yamato brothers having their dragons ready to go here. So you should be able to at least reset the spawns. But it looks like that's what Garfo's just gonna give up here.
Yeah, and Dragon to be sent straight through. It's going to take Senses out of the fight momentarily as you're trying to cut away. Marcel has gotten rid of one, but still needs a little bit more care. Unfortunately, isn't able to get such in time. Ligtad does get taken out. Unfortunately, it is a trade out ultimately, which means Cyber is still hanging around, by the way. It's had a lot of impact, unfortunately. Malga Sojourn still sitting by. Hard to take care of them both at the same time.
Blanks giving up the queen, going over to the Samoan here now, and I feel like this is probably the right time to do it. Maybe a little bit earlier, but you had that rampage you really wanted to use, and honestly, Hunter, it was a turning point for them, making sure the map was not completed there. Cyber getting off the hit scan, now going over the shotgun, especially with the big body of Rido on the other side. Not necessarily the worst option you could go with here. However, you are coming up to, I mean, really nothing here. You're going to have no ultimates maybe until the middle end of this fight, but you have to deal with Ligtat's blade, who last time they used it, I believe, found 2 or 3, and here's the blade, 40,
oh, yeah, it's already gotten rid of one. Make it a second, cutting them through like butter. Cyber does manage to find one, but that is it, as forward spawns will remain. As, again, this is exactly what you want if you're Garfo, is the 50-50 fights.
Yeah, the 50-50 fights, and eventually you'll be able to build up some ultimates and just kind of get the bot back to the barrier and complete the map here. You're gonna have cage fight, which, I mean, would be good if you had something else to pair it up with, but again, losing Ligtat here early on, look at what that does here to them. It's just gonna kind of back them up as they maybe try to find Marcella on the way out.
Yeah, now Rido is just gonna have to keep running out of there, hoping to get nobody caught out, make sure you get everybody for that forward spawn, but Rido is in the corner, and they're thinking about maybe pulling that trigger on the ult, but makes the right decision to completely back out and play towards the center.
Yeah, I feel like they're only gonna use Cage in a situation where they know they can completely win the fight, and they feel like they are in a spot where they can win the fight.
Yeah, and Matrix being used. Surprised the ball hasn't come out yet, but eventually Vagrant is going to invest. Hardcore Rido being deleted. It's going to be a big, pure fight win as eventually Ligtat removed. Still 3 members remaining here for Faca as they're finally going to get some real progress on this cart.
Yeah, and still 3.5 minutes, a lot of time left to do it. However, you just need to use both of your support ultimates right there. Cage and Death Blossom ready to go here for them. You're going to have to deal with the beat, probably an Amp Matrix and an Overclock from Dystopia. But the last time Dystopia used it, or the first time they used it, didn't really net them much here. It did buy them some space, but that was when you also saw the Rampage come out from Blanks. It kind of kept Faca in this map here, but I like what we're seeing here. Ooh. It looks like Garfo's really trying to split up Faca, and it's working.
Yeah, and it's forcing them back, but they're going to be pulled into the cage. Beat is activated. They're doubling down and making sure Rido goes down, and eventually is going to work out. Death Blossom activated. Ooh. Cyber, though, hits with the deflection. Trade still going back and forth. It's a 2v2, unfortunately. It's gonna end badly here for Faca, as it's just Ligtat and Senses hanging around, and Senses has been living through almost every single fight so far.
Yeah, and Senses has been positioning himself in really good spots, just far enough outside of everything to where the DPS would have to kind of go too far deep to get them, and just close enough to where they don't lose all the value of damage or healing. But right now, spawns back to those forward spawns here for Garfo, but the blade out here for Marcel.
Unfortunately, does not connect with the initial hit, which means it's unlikely to get a whole lot more, and Senses again hangs around, and now it's Ligtat slicing away. Cyber going to be able to take care of business. Unfortunately, the damage is already done. As that, by the way, that card is moving. That might go in. I think that's going all the way. That's it.
Rido saying C9 right there, and honestly, I'm gonna agree with him there. A good kind of play. I mean, everyone there for Faca was really focused on trying to win that fight, but it wasn't the worst idea just to throw one person up if you were Garfo, and it ended up being the thing that won you the map in regulation. And Hunter, we talked about, they got off to a really fast start. It took them till basically the doorstep for Faca to be able to win the fight and get that card back to halfway. Then they're able to actually get going a little bit, but it just wasn't enough. They had such a slow start that it really came back to hurt them here. Garfo, though, picking up right where they left off from map 1, being able to have a really dominant map here again. Everyone consistent across the board again here for them. And I mean, Rido doing everything you want to see from that Malga play and more. And that was a hero coming into tonight, Hunter. I don't think necessarily either me or you expected to see here, unless it was, like I said, one of those last ditch efforts. But Rido showed us a really good Samoan there.
No, 100% showed an amazing one, and I'm impressed by the fact that they kind of managed to come out here and make something like that happen, because they had a good performance already in that first map, but that was amplified here 100% over there on Runasapi, and you gotta hope they can continue with that replicated success. Unfortunately, it is extremely unlikely to be happening on the Mauga, as we know our next map, and it might be the most anti-Mauga map to ever exist within this game, as we're gonna be heading over to Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Never say never. I mean, all you need is a sim, and it could work. And hey, we have seen some wild stuff in the South American region. I can remember the Factor X and Elements game, or Factor X and Warfist game that put Factor X into the grand finals. They came out playing Junker Queen on their attack here on Watchpoint Gibraltar and just used a sim to get up onto that high ground and just wrecked or ran straight through them. But right now, Ash could be our first ban here on this map, and not necessarily a hero you see banned that often, especially going to a dive heavy map like this. But my feeling is this might be more protection than anything else, where if it's Faca that's getting this first ban, they might be protecting, potentially saying like, we're gonna get rid of the Reaper, we're gonna make sure you get rid of the Reaper. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what our second ban is, because I think that might show us a little bit more of who potentially made that first ban.
Yeah, I think it 100% will as well. I'm curious what the case is going to be in the other. I think with the way things have been, I think it should be decently obvious. Just I'm going based off of the fact that, 100%, as we are already getting connected to the third and potential final map. Is everybody already in here? We are just going to get started straight away. And to be fair, if you're Garfo, this is what you want. You want to take all this momentum you've built in these two maps, and you want to try to encapsulate it right here and try to close it out early.
Yeah, and right now, Garfo, they're showing us why they were able to beat Factor X last week. Again, a team that me and you were very high on. And they're showing us right now why they might be one of those teams you really have to watch out for here in this season. Goodfellas being the only team that has yet to lose a series. And I think this Garfo team, let me check this real quick, does play Goodfellas not next week, but I think the week after that.
Which that is one I am majorly anticipating now at this point. Because again,
no, my bad.
Oh, have you been done bad?
No. Yeah, no, they played Goodfellas week 1.
Okay. Well, there we go. Okay. But with that being the case, that means they still have a lot of those bigger matches coming up. Things like, I can't even. So I was gonna say like that Factor X game. We already know how that went, but like that Zocorp game, that still has to come from as well, because Zocorp is one of the teams that is still definitely gonna be hanging around.
Yeah, but coming in here, Hazard, remember Hazard was banned out map 1, didn't really make a lot of sense for map 2, but this is a good map for Hazard if you don't really want to run one of those traditional dive tanks. Talker going over to the sim here, coming back in after being subbed out last map, just going to be used as I think a little bit of a distraction TP. However, Cyber goes through and
Yeah, not the best situation in the world. Blanks being hunted like crazy, still hanging around though, still has all the block in the world. Is gonna be able to get back inside, and Talker got rid of one shot, one kill, which honestly, all things considered, pretty nice. Unfortunately, Vagrant got taken just out of effective range of dashing out of there.
Yeah, and right now, if you are Faca, you really just need to find some sort of. Again, I wish I was Portuguese. But right now, Cyber sticking on the Cassidy, Talker going over to the Tracer now, and Rido's so low. That's a huge pick right there for Faca. They just need to find one more, and they should be able to get this card almost to that first point.
Yeah, you also got to keep Blanks up in the situation. Blanks, unfortunately, has been taken out a lot throughout this series, but looks to be them being able to stabilize. You get to take over the high ground. You get to push this mostly through that underpass as well. Unfortunately, though, Rido has gone right back to the wheelhouse of the Mauga.
And hey, not necessarily the worst idea if you're trying to do a close, a first point hold here, but if you lose the Mauga here at any point, it's just going to go right back into Faca's hands here, where they should be able to really clean up a team fight right after that and be able to cap point 1, especially with what the card is right here. But everyone for Garfo on the low ground.
Yeah, this is the exact way you want to play this with what you have, because you have to go down there. You get no choice in the matter. You have to go down there, and the best thing you can do is keep trying to poke away, take that damage, and you got to wart towards Endai's ult in this situation. You're going to have to need that if you're going to burst through here with the comp you are going up against. And honestly, this is brilliant from Garfo, but Lictad might be biting off a little more than they could chew, as they are barely still hanging around.
Ligtat so low, Blank's going to be able to get out with their own life. Talker does have Pulse Bomb ready to go here, and that could be an ultimate that really opens up a lot of things. Senses has that Coalescence, so you could see something, you could see that be used here to counter out Endai's Orbital Ray, but just going to be really, really dependent on what happens here now.
Yep, and this would be what we want right here. Going to go into town right now. Ligtat gets a really good deflect. Everybody trapped down. Righto, going to be burnt away. And the plan for the time being seems to be a success, a full wipe, but people are going to be back in time for a touch.
Yeah, especially on the Malga, you should be able to rush back out there, and you just saw Faca use basically all their ultimates. They're going to have a Kitsune rush here. Look at what you have. Blade, Death Blossom, Beat, and not that far away from Cage. You're in a really good spot right here now if you're Garfo. But if you're Faca, you might just need to fall back, set up, and try to take a clean team fight. But no!
Oh! Bye-bye. It was good knowing you, Ligtat, and now Kitsune Rush activated. And now they're going to go all in to try to finish them off. Righto forced to get out into the corner, but still incredibly low. Going to be burnt away as Hounds of Dystopia, as there's now a beat. As, yeah, ends up coming through anyway. Dystopia might be cleaning up, but it's not going to matter. Unless they decide to do another close hold. Anyway, with the comp they have, they could get away with it.
They could, but they have to wait for their tank now to run back from all the way to from point 2 spawn. However, I mean, if you can keep everyone alive here, yeah, I don't think the close hold's happening anymore. But hey, really good play there by Faca. I mean, Ligtat, that might be the first big mistake we've seen them make all series long by trying to blade into the majority of their team. And hey, it was one of those. It was definitely one of those moments where his eyes were bigger than maybe his brain right there, and he saw Talker.
Yeah, just hanging around, having a good time. Ligtat going down first again, but Cyber just gets a snatch into from the top row by Rado, and unfortunately for Vagrant, not long for this world either. Ends up being really nice of a cage fight. Blanks just can't do a thing to save their own life as, you know, not gonna open that one up. But either way, 2.5 minutes on the clock here as Garfo reestablished their defense.
It's not bad. It's not bad. You can open it.
Okay, cool. Let's see.
But right now, I mean, you have Downpour, you have Deadeye, you have Pulse Bomb ready to go here for Faca. I mean, 2 of those ultimates might be all you really need to open up this entire second point here. Deadeye already out. If you can find one with you, you'll open up so much.
There's so many low, and now they're being burnt away. And now it is just hanging around the point. Dystopia eventually taken out, and that's going to be another good fight. But the problem is they are walking into a Coalescence and a Death Loss.
And not that far away from Beat, and the only thing that Faca will have is the Orbital Ray, which, hey, it did them pretty good last time, considering they really didn't have any ultimates to pair with it. But you're walking into a much different kind of situation here, where the second point is very, very big. But Cyber, like I've said, they've been the most consistent player so far tonight for Faca.
Yeah, and now we're going to have to get out of there if you are. Senses, unfortunately, burnt away, and Cyber, second pick of the fight already, hoping to clean things out away. You're going to see bodies going in as Righto going to be tossed to the side, and it's the DPS over here for Faca, who are stepping it up big time. Gonna claim second checkpoint, 3 minutes on the clock, and this is definitely the best form we have seen Faca in throughout the series.
Yeah, let me just put it like this. Both Cyber and Talker, I believe, have this round by themselves has been more elims than what they've gotten any other map so far. I'm not saying those 2 maps combined, just individual maps. This is the most elims they've gotten. They have really stepped it up here, trying to keep this series alive. Ligtat, though, going over to the Bastion. It's a very interesting strategy here. You want to pump in so much damage, but you leave yourself as such a huge target.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Gonna see how it's gonna work out for them. As Cyber does have a Deadeye ready to go, unfortunately, it will just become immediate target number 1 the moment it comes out. And now this is where you're gonna have to use the support ultimate right here. Whether it's Vagrant, whether it's Endai, you're gonna have to invest if they're gonna go push all out. Vagrant forced to TP out, being separated away, eventually going to get taken out. As just pushing a level of aggression works out brilliantly, but they do expend the beat to do that.
Expend the beat, and Talker actually able to escape. That's actually a huge play there for him, but you see Garfo just push up. They're trying to now do that close hold, because this is a point where you could really do it. However, 4 ultimates ready here now for Faca. You need to at least use 1. Probably looking at that Orbital Ray just to get out of the door. If you can find any kills after that, it's better.
Oh, and Dystopia
You'll take this as well, I guess.
I mean, might as well. Dystopia gets a nice little 4K, little crispy combo right there. And you're just holding them in spawn doors, which honestly, this is what you want to do right now if you're Garfo. Keep holding them here.
You're holding them, and look at what you have coming up. I said, like, hey, you're about to have all 5 ultimates ready to go. If you're, that's a huge pick. Now, though, you need to invest a little bit more. You do not want to allow Senses or Righto to build up to their ultimates and hold you right back there.
Yeah, now Coalescence being brought in and gonna use the Orbital Ray on top of it as well. Don't know how I quite feel about this, but if you manage to get any pick, it could be worthwhile. But no, everyone's going to retreat, which means you're not gonna have that anymore for Cage Fight.
I mean, but it did buy you space, and most importantly here, when we've seen this Faca team have space, it has worked out very well. When Deadeye gets rid of Ligtad, no mortars ready.
Yeah, Blanxo in a weird scenario is gonna pull bodies down. Righto. Still getting all the care possible, is having to try to force their way out of the fight, sitting super low. Everybody pushing into them. Eventually, the war of attrition goes their way. And now it's everybody forming together. It's Ligtad who's just got to try to hit somebody here with the missiles. Unfortunately, nobody has gone down. Senses eliminated Ligtad. All they can do is hopelessly throw themselves towards the point as Faca are going to finish the map. 25 seconds on there. And that, again, I'll say it again, that is clearly the best we have seen them throughout the series.
Yeah, we've seen moments of Faca like this throughout the entire series where they've shown us they could beat Garfo in, you know, a fight here and there, but they finally put it together. And I think there was a little bit of Garfo also just making some mistakes here, maybe overstepping their boundaries here a little bit.
Oh, good.
Was One Shot One Kill a different name last round?
Yeah, you know what? That might be a streamer name, honestly.
That is a streamer name.
Yeah, I will do some quick research just to find out who specifically that is.
But yeah, while you research, but that was just the best round we've seen from Faca. I mean, Faca has shown us throughout the series that they do have the potential to really compete here with Garfo, but Garfo's been always able to shut them down pretty consistently. That was just a really good round because it really felt like with the change we saw going back over to the Malga, going over to the Bastion, that Garfo really thought that those were going to be the things that really seal the deal. And a lot of damage, a lot of sustainability, but you didn't see that happen there. So it was a really good kind of play there from Faca. Now, they have to kind of match it here on the defensive side. And remember, they brought us to this map for a reason. This might be the reason why they brought us here, knowing that Garfo might not necessarily like it as much.
Yeah, and now that Hazard been out the first map, makes a whole lot of sense now as Rido is going to be potentially starting out on the D.Va, which going into Hazard, I actually like quite a bit if you don't feel like you can match it. D.Va has a lot of effectiveness. It's never like the meta, but has a lot of counterplay ability. Oh, bye, Ligtad.
Ligtad has, let's just say, not had a good time so far this map. They've bladed a couple times, just been immediately killed. They just go dashing right in and just get killed instantly. Yeah, they're speedrunning first deaths. I don't hate that from them. If that's what their goal was, and hey, you accomplished it.
Yeah, 100%. But now you see bodies dropping down over towards the point. We're trying to hold them for as long as possible. This opens up the door for Rido to start moving to that high ground, pressuring everybody around, and that's exactly what you want. You want to separate the squad from each other. But Ligtad, again, going to go down early. Everyone's just going to throw heals on blanks on the point, and all they can do is just keep sustaining, keep pushing. Exactly, honestly, what Garfo was doing to them for 2 straight maps.
Yeah, and I mean, Blanks has been a really good map, probably the best map we've seen from them as well. And like you said, kind of the best map we've seen from Faca so far. They have just been able to really, you know, get comfortable playing this Hazard. And it seems like just Garfo isn't necessarily prepared for it. I mean, they're now running that D.Va into them. We saw the D.Va from Faca, map number 1, and it didn't necessarily work out for them very long once we saw the Orisa swap. But this is a map where you really cannot play Orisa without the assistance of a Symmetra.
Yeah, Blank's getting super low, getting tons of pressure, but gonna back out with some care. In fact, the Deadeye is basically used to kind of hold them off and keep your tank up, which honestly, to keep your tank up, I don't mind at all. And that is gonna be massive. Deflection comes through. At least one body caught, and everything being thrown in again to be able to stop that as Talkbird is gonna knock Rido out of the mech. And honestly, you can just back off entirely and just let Rido sit out of the D-mech and regroup with Blanks.
Yeah, but right now Blanks died, and you see 3 members on the card here for Garfo. They are really trying to cap this point before Blanks is able to get back. Getting off the card here,
a choice.
It might be a mistake.
Yeah, it's definitely a choice right now as Rido looks like they're going to be able to realistically remech 8 health, and unfortunately for this side of Faca, not going to stop it from happening, and now they have to rush towards the point. They have to stop as there's the bomb ready to go. 2 meters. Less than 1 meter, literally right on the precipice of taking it away, and a bomb being thrown on the point. And it is going to be within a 20th of a meter, and they managed to retouch and hold on to the point.
I was gonna have a breakdown, but they stopped me from having it there. A really good fight there by Faca, and getting rid of the Lucio right there by Blanks is huge as well, because they were definitely looking to try to just get Faca while they were sleeping there. But now Orbital Ray is ready, not that far away from another Deadeye. Again, Cyber and Talker, this has been their best map so far this series. They have really stepped it up here. When you look at the DPS for the other side, League 10 Dystopia have been doing solidly throughout this series, but they are struggling right now. But Cyber, they have really stepped it up here. They've been able to hit shot after shot and finding a lot of value with the Deadeyes here, especially building up to another one. That could be something that really stops this cart from getting to point A.
Yeah, now you have to play carefully. Ligtat going to have a blade around the corner. Despite everything that has happened, those blades have still popped off, and hoping to do the same here. Unfortunately, is going on a wild goose chase for some people. Gets one single slice and no eliminations. Unfortunate scenario, but you trade out your tracers. You're able to kind of re-stabilize off of that. The problem is Sophia and Talker are going to get back around the same time as Endai getting separated, but still being kept alive.
Cyber, though, really thought they might have found a little bit more value with this Deadeye, not going to be able to here. But if you're Garfo, you love what you just saw there. You got 3 ultimates out for basically the cost of a blade here. And now you have beat, you're going to have Kitsune Rush. You're in a good spot, especially getting rid of Cyber early on.
Yeah, you just go in the beat engagement, you take it aggressive, and honestly, you have every right to do so. Everybody kind of walled off, pushing bodies on, and now with Blanks gone, it's unlikely there's going to be any recovery. Your singular bright side is you knock right out of the mech, but still going to have a late death here for Vagrant, as they are going to be start moving this cart forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Hunter, I've been told that we should call Rido Rays.
Rays. All right, Rays it is.
I'm sorry we continue to pronounce that wrong. But right now, hey, if you're Garfo, you got through that first point. You have your Kitsune Rush, you have a Pulse Bomb. You're not in a bad spot here, but I would think you might need to potentially get off this D.Va here, as it's really not finding the true value. You're really hoping that it would so far. But hey, you're on the second point push here. You're really not going to have to deal with anything early on, especially with Senses using this Kitsune Rush here early. You're just trying to buy space.
Yeah, and Talker actually is getting the first pick again onto Ligtat, which is unfortunately getting picked off so consistently early in these fights. But it's all that pressure as the ult, I don't think it came out. It's a Kitsune Rush gone from Vagrant, and now it's onto the back of Garfo to start running it down. Keep this point moving, as you can only hope to a soft regroup right now if you're Faca.
I mean, if you're Faca, you might,
oh no,
honestly, you're just got to give it this point.
Yeah.
After the amazing first point you had, Cyber though finding one right there, but I don't think it's gonna be enough, as Rays will take him out. And now, I mean, 3 minutes on that time bank here for Garfo to complete the map and force an overtime. Hunter, this has been a bounce back for them here, especially after what has been, or what was, almost a full hold on that first point.
Yeah, I mean, that essentially what it was, as Ligtat does get that first final blow this time around. Awesome to see it, and this is, again, Garfo getting momentum and just continuously running away with it more and more and more, to the point where they can finish this with like a minute and a half if they keep at this rate.
Blanco has this downpour ready to go. They've been doing pretty good with it all map long, honestly. They've been able to always trap some people out and really force out a lot from the other side. So, honestly, if you just wait to get for the downpour to get rid of, say, something like a beat, something like a bomb, it works out perfectly here for Faca, but you really need to be able to find a lot more there. There's the bomb, though.
Yeah, and now going to try to pull bodies down, and Remake might have kept them alive momentarily, as the Kirko kept up. Blanks, though, is separated entirely from their squad and is still being kept up momentarily, and it's enough for Rays to be able to get back into the mech. Unfortunately, going to be knocked directly back out, and is going to be staggered out momentarily before burning away.
A minute 45 left to go here. You have beat. That's basically be the only thing you probably have in the early part of this fight. Senses could build up to a Kitsune Rush, but I mean, same thing could be basically said for the side of Faca. You only have that Orbital Ray ready to go. Talker not that far away from a Pulse Bomb either, but kind of at the same spot as Senses here. Cyber, I mean, they've been able to build up Deadeyes pretty quickly, but right now, if you're Faca, you really need to build these ultimates fast. You see Rays go off the D.Va, kind of the spot where I thought they would, over to the Drunk Queen, which we've seen them find a lot of value with so far tonight.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting, as, again, Beat sitting by, and eventually Rays getting an early pick on the Blanks, and now that is the retreat button immediately for Faca, who have to regroup. Unfortunately, they're not given the chance to regroup at all. They are just running it down, as Endai is probably just going to have to invest right here, right now.
There's the overrun. Pulse Bomb does find one here. The Beat now out, but right now, if you're Faca, you need to find a lot of value with this Orbital Ray.
Yeah, 100% Cyber managed to come back out on the Venture. Rough scenario, everyone going to get pushed back, separated away. It's exactly what you want to do. But Cyber is gone just as soon as they got brought into the fight. Everyone's trying to run down Raze. Unfortunately, Ray has all the support in the world. All the sustain to work with. And now, Dex is starting to look like an inevitability as pulled back in and getting separated. Vagrant does have one all coming into the fight, but unfortunately, the rest of the squad might not be able to hold up long enough.
If Vagrant can get back, it would be huge. Cyber almost able to burrow themselves there, but it'll be a 2-second time difference here now for Garfo. But they're able to complete the map and force the overtime. Garfo, though, will be attacking first. And remember, it was Faca that got off to a great start last time, an even better start on the defensive side. So if you're Faca, all you need to do is basically match what you did on that defensive side here, or in this last round, and you should be pulling yourself into a good spot. But Hunter, it's always the situation with a minute on the time bank. You're really only looking at one true good fight for either side before you're really considering making those swaps over to heroes that you are just making the swap to just get back into the fight.
Yeah, 100%. And now you gotta see if there's gonna be any adjustments in the situation. Honestly, there's no adjustments. Both teams are just playing the comps that they have kind of succeeded with the most throughout not only just this map, but I think through the series entirely. And Raze being back over on the Queen makes a lot of sense. The question is, though, is how they have to play this. Because, Dex, there's only two ways to play this. You either have to storm the high ground as a team, or you have to do what they did on their defense and just try to get into the underpass and maybe try to force a fight there.
Yeah, maybe. But right now, I mean, you see them coming out with Raze on that Jungle Queen. I think that's the right way to go here, but you need someone to get up to that high ground. And I'm like, Sim would be the only potential opportunity, unless you're just gonna say, hey, we're just gonna force Carp. That might put you in a bad spot as well. But you just see a lot of the heroes right now, or a lot of players here for Garfo, just getting those swaps in and getting all the perks ready to go, so that if they need to make a swap, they can. But Cyber, they struggled at the end of the last round, immediately get rid of Dystopia.
Yeah, I'm loving it so far from Cyber. And that's 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shot. Amazing getting rid of senses, and now somehow managed to move out. Again, blanks getting caught out early in a fight. And this means all you can do is really hang around, and unfortunately for Cyber, they're in a really awkward situation with the rest of their squad.
And right now, I mean, you're gonna have to completely fall back here if you are Faca. I mean, you're in final fight territory right now. It doesn't matter how much farther they push this cart. You're in final fight territory. Cyber, the closest one to a ultimate right now, 78, 80% basically to a Deadeye. While everyone else on the other side, because of swaps, no ultimates are going to be ready here. So Cyber might be the difference here this round for Faca. But where this card is right now, it's going to be difficult for them, even if they get the stop here now to get it pushed to next round.
Dystopia literally won and gets caught out eventually. Deadeye right around the corner. And if this Deadeye comes out, there's nothing Raze can do to stop the situation. And in fact, you're waiting for the opportunity right now, and here it pops off. Gonna drop down, gonna speed around this corner big time, looking for a potential boop, and Raze gonna get super low, gonna drag them away. It's a weird trade out though, but Blank's eventually gonna find the final blow that they need to potentially lock this one in. Late Dad has to drop onto the car. It's just Senses and Dystopia hanging around, and unfortunately hanging around is carrying a lot of weight as Late Dad takes themselves out as 75 meters will be the lock-in. So it's a good defense overall, but you still gotta reach this point if you're Faca.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's gonna be very difficult for Faca to get to this point because, yeah, hey, they had a better time bank, but it's by 2 seconds. That's like, you essentially just have the same time bank. If you're Faca, you really cannot afford to lose a team fight here. But if you do, it gives you that opportunity to really make those swaps. It's gonna be interesting to see what Garfo does here. Do they stay on the high ground and just kind of let Faca take space, or it wouldn't surprise me if Garfo just says, hey, we're just gonna be at your spawn door. Like, this Garfo team has shown us they are not afraid to get aggressive at any point, or they're not afraid to get aggressive. They've shown us several times this series that they do not care. They will be at your spawn doors, especially the last round, the last attacking round for Faca. They were at the last point spawn doors for Faca. So it's not, it wouldn't surprise me if we see that. But Raze going back over here now to the Diva. I really feel like that's a little bit of a make or break kind of pick here for them, because if that Diva gets DMX'd pretty early on, the rest of the team is just going to kind of have to turn tail and run. And you see the rest of the side of Faca now making those kind of late swaps here, like you would always kind of expect these attacking teams to do. Tucker showing us potentially Sim might be coming out here. Vagrant, we know that they might play the brig here, or actually looks like they're going to stick with the brig. Actually, they're going to be TP up to that high ground.
Yeah, and I don't mind it whatsoever. Get your break up there as, Blanks just got caught up. 101 hook, line, and sinker. That's not a great way to get things started, is they're purchasing this high ground, but someone still has to pressure point and move it.
Blanks considers making the swap over to the Doomfist, went over to the D, but instead, here, 40 seconds to go, you are now in kind of final fight territory from here on out. Yeah, the card's still very close, but you have to treat every fight like it's going to be your final one here, because if you start pushing that card up any little bit, you need to be able to find kills.
Potentially a mistake here for Rhino as they eventually get back into their squad, literally nearing that 1 health marker as Cyber being taken out. An important time for Ligtag to come away with a pick. Blanks trying to move in, hoping to find something, but honestly, this is the point where you just have to regroup, take your time here, make sure you keep everybody up, because a touch on this point isn't going to be hard, but Vagrant of all people gets rid of Ligtag.
That's a huge pick right there, and especially though, like this is the problem I was going to say. You're in that underground part, Endai falls, and now you have the high ground there for Garfo.
Yeah, now Dystopia is the one that is close to that ult. Mega health pack has to be taken away. Race, bit of an awkward situation though, still able to hang around. It's Vagrant I'm most worried about here that could be burnt away. As Cyber Dystopia, it is a race to see who can get to that Deadeye first, but Dystopia might get there first by a mile. As all you can do is Blanks as you get pushed out more and more into the open. Eventually, the pressure's gonna be too much.
Blanks needs to stay in that mech right here. That's the only thing that's gonna give him a chance, but Cyber gets taken out.
And that's a worst case scenario, and with that Deadeye, Race moving through. It's going to be a Garfo 3-0. Big fight back from Faca. Unfortunately, I mean, Garfo having it figured out. That pincer right out the beginning that they gave to Blanks, I think sealed that momentum for them.
It really did, and I really thought you were going to see that entire team TP up to that high ground, but I forgot they did the same thing the first time around by TPing to the opposite high ground and get their supports over there. I really think if they threw the TP up to the high ground instead, it would have been a little bit of a different scenario right there, but I don't blame them for trying that. It worked out for them the first time around. Just didn't work out for them the second time around. But Garfo, I mean, hey, a good 3-0 victory here, kind of building on momentum after beating Factor X last week. Now, though, in their next game, they'll take on Zenith. So right now, Hunter, you're looking at a team that could be sitting up. They definitely will be sitting up towards the top of the South American standings after tonight. And for the next couple weeks to come, Zenith, I mean, they've had their struggles here early on, but if Garfo wins that one, then they have a bye week because the team that had to drop out would have been their next game. So, I mean, they could be looking at, with 2 games to go, potentially being 5-1. 4-1, my bad. 4-1.
Yeah. Honestly, that'd be incredible. Obviously, curious about that. Curious about the one game that is still ongoing, though, which has a lot of ramifications for the future. Factor X and Goodfellas still going at it. Factor X is up 2-1 currently. And these are 2 teams that we have touted before as 2 of those teams that we expect to be in that top 4 almost with ease. But honestly, with the fact that these 2 teams are going back and forth, what Garfo has done in their first 2 games, this is not the same Garfo that we watched last season. This is a Garfo that 100% is becoming one of those front runners out the gate. And of course, all credit to Faca for coming into today and putting up a really good fight and honestly progressing further and further and making it way more close as the series went on. But this Garfo squad feels very locked in, and if I'm someone like a Zocorp, like a Zenith, I am scared to walk into the squad.
Oh, absolutely. But going back to touch on Faca here,
yeah,
like you kind of said it right. They got better as the series went on, and Watchpoint was definitely their best map through. We said it multiple times. That DPS line was really stout. The tank player did incredibly well. And that support line, we didn't talk about them enough, but I felt like they did a really good job all throughout the series, especially with it seemed like back on map 1, they were kind of getting dove a little bit, like way too often there. But I thought they did a really good job dealing with that here. But right now, Faca, they can build on this. I mean, I believe these 2 teams, if they're not from the same org, or at least very friendly with each other, so they are probably the scrim partners. Faca could really take a lot from this game and a lot from scrims probably coming up here to try to beat some of those other teams here, because I feel like this Faca team is not that far away from potentially being in that conversation for top 4 here in this region. But right now, I mean, you talked about Factor X and Goodfellas going to map 4 with Factor X up. If Factor X wins that one, that throws a wild curveball in with the standings here, because basically the top 3 teams would have all beaten one of the other teams. Factor X would have been Goodfellas, Goodfellas would have been Garfo, and Garfo would have been Factor X. So it would be very interesting to see who would be actually the team sitting number 1 in this standings if that Factor X game does go that way. But Garfo tonight, I mean, they looked really good. And like I said, they were always able to quickly change stuff and have it work out for them. That's exactly what we saw there on Watch Point. It really wasn't working out that well on the defensive side. Offensive side as well. It kind of just got shut down time after time again, but they found one thing to really get them going. And then they never really lost that momentum. This Garfo team, a really momentum-based team, if you give them the momentum, it's going to be really hard to take it away from them.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm excited to hopefully be able to continue showing off this team here because... again, we didn't get many opportunities to do it last season, which that sucks. But in the situation right here, I'm glad we are having this opportunity now. Hopefully, we have the opportunity in the future because if Garfo keeps playing like this, they're going to be a top 4 team. They're going to get into those playoffs, and they're going to get in a situation that we didn't get to see them be in last season. So I'm extremely excited to get to that. Unfortunately, though, it's not all happening in one sitting. It'd be exciting, stay up all night, cast all of South America at once, destroy our throats in the process. That is, fortunately and unfortunately, not the case.
I think the players wouldn't like that either.
I wouldn't think so. It's a little bit later for them right now as well. I think it's only an hour or 2 difference. I believe it's just an hour difference.
Yeah,
I think so. But either way, that being the case, that is going to be for South America here today. Of course, coming up in an hour, we have our North American going on between Tanuki Tapir and Amplify. Should be a good game, but for all y'all from the South American region, thank y'all very much for coming around for the Cutlery battle. Ended up being a very fun one, despite it being a 3-0. Lots of back and forth. Yep, I got a knife. He's got a fork. It's brilliant. We have props, ladies and gentlemen. But thank y'all for being here. Remember, we are doing South America as well as scheduled pertains, and everybody sticks to the games they should. Every Wednesday, we cover a game here within South America Masters tier. It's always a lot of fun, and we appreciate y'all being here, coming out every single week. And hopefully, we'll see you next week for that as well. But if not, perhaps we'll see you in an hour for some more Faceit League action with North America, and hopefully, we'll see you there. Peace.